To start this process, I'm grabbing a 12 by 12 canvas and some gel multi-medium, as well as 3 sheets of paper that are coordinating. And all I'm doing is I'm tearing them, applying some gel medium on the back, as well as a little bit on the canvas so that it sticks nice to the canvas and it does not peel off. And I'm just applying a little bit more on the top and on the sides so that it does not lift or bubble. And then I just continue tearing the paper until I get the desired look that I want for this canvas. One of the things that I get asked all the time is how come I use either matte gel multimedium or glossy gel multimedium. And the reason I'm using matte on here is because I'm going to be adding layers. I don't want the effect to be glossy. I just want it to be matte so that I can keep adding layers. Maybe at the end of my process I'll go ahead and seal everything off with a glossy medium at the end, just to give it a more finished look so it's not so matte. The thing about matte gel multimedium is that it'll mute a little bit of your color, whereas a glossy medium will give you more of a true color of the paint or the paper, whatever it is that you're using. So that's why I'm using matte on here. Here I'm taking some green gold by Golden, and I'm just applying it with my finger on the edges of the canvas just to give the canvas a little bit more depth and dimension, or texture I should say. And then I'm grabbing a little bit of that teal and rubbing it on the sides again using my fingers. Using your fingers, you guys, is just so fun, and you can create some cool effects rather than just using a brush, so you don't have any brush strokes. And then I'm now grabbing some of the Studio Orange, and it's really creamy. And I'm trying to match the color of the paper a little bit around the edges. So that's all I'm doing here, is just applying it everywhere. Now I'm grabbing a stencil by the Crafters Workshop, and I love this one. I believe it's called Flutterby. I can't quite remember. I'll have the link below on my below to my blog, where I'll have all the links to all of this. But I'm just using one of the Studio Yellow acrylic paints, and I'm just dabbing it all over. And then I'm taking a little bit of the orange so that I kind of have a two-tone effect of this stencil, and you'll see when I lift it up. There we go. Now it completely matches with the background paper that I already applied. And I don't want too much of the edging, so I just grabbed a cloth and wiped it. I now grabbed a stamp set by Tim Holtz, and I'm using this script to just stamp randomly all over my canvas just to create a little bit more texture. So that's, and I'm using StazOn. And I'm now grabbing another stamp set and just using those circles randomly with StazOn again, stamping it all over my canvas. Then I'm grabbing some Iamroses butterflies, and some of them come colored, which I really love. They're so fun. And then there's some white ones that I'll be using as well, these large ones. And so all I'm going to do is I'm going to take some acrylic paint, and I'm going to paint them in the 3 colors that I've previously used to paint my canvas. So the orange, the green, and a little bit of the yellow. And then I'm going to take, or sorry, the teal, not the yellow. And then at the end of this, I'm just going to ensure that I dry them really thoroughly, and take some Gelato by Faber-Castell, and then go around the edges of my butterflies. After I'm done going around the edges of my butterflies with the gelatos, I'm going to take a wet paintbrush, and I'm going to start blending the gelatos to give the butterflies a little bit more edging and more of a distressed look. So that's all I'm doing here. Then I'm going to take that same script stamp, and I'm going to stamp them on the butterflies and give them a really cool look. And I know it's a little bit fast, so it's hard to see, but once you'll see the canvas finished, you'll see what I'm doing. And then I'm just taking those 2 stamp sets, the script and the dots, and I'm stamping them all over the butterflies. I'm now taking a second stencil by the Crafters Workshop and just adding a little bit more dimension to my canvas with some of the yellow paint. So that's all I'm doing there and giving it a dry. Here's the third stencil by the Crafters Workshop, which I really, really love, which I'll be using in a minute, but I am just going to apply my butterflies with the multi-medium all over my page. So that's all I'm doing here. And you don't need to worry about the stays on or the paint running, because stays on is a permanent ink, so it's not going to run like if you used a water-based ink like Distress Stain. Now I'm using the stencil by grabbing some gesso and applying it all over the page, or all over the page, as you see. I'm going to be covering my image, and then you'll see that I'll take a cloth in a little bit and I will wipe the eyes, because I decided that I wanted the eyes to be blue and not black. So I will do that in a little bit, which you'll see. So just make sure you cover your entire stencil and then peel it off. I'm now going to blend some yellow and some white to create the hair color for this girl. And so all I'm doing here is just adding a little bit more white, a little bit more yellow, and I'm just painting her hair in between the black lines. And I'm not overly worried about going over the black lines, because I can fix them later. Plus it gives it a little bit more of a shadowy look, so I'm not overly worried. And that's all I'm going to be doing here. And then once I'm done doing the hair in the yellow, I'm going to be taking a second color, which is a little bit darker, to create more of a highlighted look in her hair. Otherwise it's going to look not as natural. So I'm just finishing up here the curls, the edging. So here's the other yellow, and I'm just putting a little bit of water to make it more of a watercolor, and or washed down color, I should say, and then just creating a little bit of a highlight in her hair, shadow effect. So that's all I'm doing here, just putting it randomly all over her hair. Now I'm going to create her face, and I'm just going to use a flesh tone by Americana with a little bit of water and some white to tone it down, and I'm just going to be painting her face so that all my background that I created earlier doesn't come through and it makes her face all weird. So that's all I'm doing here. Next, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab a little bit of a darker tone, and I'm going to go around her face a little bit more to create a little bit more of a realistic look. So this is just a little bit of a darker tone, and that's what I'm going to be doing here. And it's hard to tell on camera that it is a little bit darker, and then with my finger I'm just blending a little bit so that there's no raised edges from the brush strokes. Next, I'm actually going to grab an even darker tone, so a little bit of the orange that I used previously on my canvas, and go around the edges a little bit more just to give it that third piece of dimension, or the third layer of dimension, I should say. Around the eyes, around the hairline, and around the nose, and a little bit around the neck. Next, I'm going to create her lips, and so I'm going to be using one of the red by Golden, and like I said, I'll post the links on my blog so that you can see. I'm taking an R77 Rose by Iamroses, and I'm applying some Helmar 450 Quick Dry and applying it to her hair to give her a beautiful little flower in her hair. Then I'm applying some black gelato all over the canvas, and with some water again. just to give it a more finished look in the end. That's the only reason I'm doing that. I think it just blends, the black just blends it all in. Next, I'm going to be taking these two cute little metal flowers with the centers, and I'm just going to be applying them on either side of the flower, and I'm just going to finish off by applying a little bit of teal on all the sides, and my canvas is complete. Thank you for watching.